Yeah, keep me check. So
Hi, Rajesh.
hi, Anu. So you know what? We can restart right now. So
Yeah, keep me.
so Anu, we'll start with your chanting.
Hi,
So
Rajesh.
you can chant the invocation, so we can get started.
Yeah, there is some lag. Is there any lag?
No, no problem. You can chant.
Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Harihi Om.
Okay. As always, we can start with some chanting. So, Anu, would you mind chanting from 30 to 36? 30 to 33 we covered last week, and we're going to talk about 34 to 36.
Ye tve Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha Atha Tritiyodhyayah Karma Yogaha Ye me matamidam nityam anutishtanti manavaha shraddhavanto nasuyantaha muchyante tepi karmabhihi ye tve tadabhyasuyantaha nanutishtanti me matam sarvajnana vimudham stan vidhi nashtana chetasaha Sadrisham cheshtate swasyaha prakritirjnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigrahak kim karishyati indriyasyendriyasyarthe ragadveshau vyavasthitau tayornavashamagachet tauhyasya paripanthinau Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha paradharmat swanushtitat swadharme nidhanam shreyaha paradharmo bhayavaha Arjuna uvacha athakena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichannapi vashneya Baladhivaniyojitaha.
Thank you, Anu. Excellent chanting as always. Hopefully you understood the first 3 verses very well. These verses are such a beautiful verses. It is just talking about your life. And last week we talked about the Gita's approach is not a do's and don'ts, right? So it said, Krishna said, this is my opinion. He didn't say that you should blindly follow it, right? So we talked about that in detail. A lot of people look at the scriptures as a set of do's and don'ts. So here that is not the approach. Krishna gave an opinion. And what is that opinion? Each of us deserves a better life. What is that better life we are talking? Typically, we engage in karmas or actions, but we engage with a lot of anxiety. We engage with a lot of fear. We are extremely anxious about the outcomes. And that is going to grab our efficiency away from the action. We feel stressed. We feel pressured. This is the normal life of an individual. And Krishna says, that's not what we are designed for. We are designed to operate efficiently. We are designed to operate, to act without these worries and anxieties. And the trick of that is Karma Yoga. The same actions you do with extreme pressure, you can do with a different attitude. This attitude is what is called Karma Yoga. And what is that Karma Yoga? It is the first stage of your spiritual practice. We talked about our entire spiritual journey. The first step is to develop the purity of the mind and stability of the mind. And Karma Yoga is the means for gaining that purity of the mind. How do you purify your mind? The simple solution is proper work with proper attitude. Everybody remembering this, right? And what is proper work? You cannot do tamasic karma. And what is tamasic karma? Any karma that is adharmic. Any karma where I will be the only beneficiary, but at the cost of somebody else. You're breaking the law. You're breaking the dharma. So that is tamasic actions. And you cannot do that. At any cost, you cannot do that. Then the second kind of karma is called Rajasi Karma. You can do that. What is the definition of Rajasi Karma?
I'm benefiting, but nobody else is necessarily benefiting.
I'm following law. I'm in compliance with the law.
I'm following the law.
So you go to your work, doing your IT work or medical work or whatever it is, earning your salary, you are the only beneficiary. That is okay. That is Rajasi Karma. But along with that Rajasi Karma, what Krishna advised, make sure
Karma.
you are doing Swati Karma. And what is Swati Karma? The definition is very clear. Pancha Mahayajna, 5 different yajna you have to do. And I suggested a frequency of 1 week. Make sure that you are checking off these 5 different Swati Karma every week. What were the Pancha Mahayajnas, if you could think of?
Bhuta Yajna.
What is, yes.
Manushya Yajna, Deva Yajna,
Yes.
Bhuta Yajna.
Manushya Yajna, you have to support the other humanity. How do you support? It varies from person to person, time to time. But give some time. Whatever way you can support the other humanity. Not as an attitude of, I am helping him, right? It's from that sensitivity. You are supporting the other people of the humanity. Bhuta Yajna, you're supporting the nature. Manushya, Pitru Yajna, you're giving family time. Family will not flourish automatically. Conscious effort is required in building the relationship, in continuing the relationship. Remember the example I told you. The love that you do not express is like the gift that you wrapped but never given. So 5 minutes of family time, do that. What else? Deva Yajna, you have to surrender to a higher goal. Like it could be any God you believe in, or it is any higher cause you believe in. Spend 5 minutes or some time. And finally, Brahma Yajna, which is your study
of
the scriptures. So this is Pancha Mahayajna. So this is proper work. And what is proper attitude? When you do the karma, you offer that as an offering to Ishvara.
Ishwararpana.
God. Ishwararpana Buddhi. And when you get the results,
Prasad Buddhi and
Prasad. And what did we discuss?
Prasad Buddhi.
First day onwards, it is not going to be easy to apply this in all karma. And what was the simple suggestion I made? At least in these Swatik actions, you can easily do that. So Krishna said, by doing this, in my opinion, you are going to evolve. Slowly, 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 you see that you're progressing. Your pressure comes down and you become efficient in your activity. So this is proven. And we heard a lot of supporting arguments in between, right? Annat bhavanti bhutani, that argument, devan bhavayatanena. Remember some of these brilliant verses we talked about? When you walk out, when you see the plant, look at that as the blessings of Ishvara. You may not see the God directly, but you can feel the presence of that Ishvara every second, everywhere. The moment you breathe, from where that oxygen comes in. Right now, means in India, you heard, right? The oxygens we are lacking. When you don't have the oxygen, then only you realize how valuable it is, how much it is taken for granted. Having oxygen is one thing, but your ability to breathe in, that itself is programmed by whom? The food you eat, means 15th chapter you see, right? Krishna brilliantly talks, as Ishvara, I gives the energy to the world through the sun. Aham Vaishwanaro Purtha, means Praninam Devam Deham, like as sunlight, I blesses the humanity, all the energy is given. As leaves, I absorb that energy. And then what happens? As fire, I help you to cook your food. And then what happened? As digestive system, I help you to digest that food. And as the circulatory system, I just drop that food to every cell of your body. So think of me not working in your system for a second. The whole thing will collapse. The moment you realize, the moment you have that sensitivity, you cannot but confirm to the presence of Ishvara. If you look for Krishna, somebody who is in a blue color with a flute, you may not see that person never, right? I told you the story of Tolstoy. Somebody was waiting for Jesus Christ. The Christ never came in, but the Christ comes through different forms. It is true around the world. If you open your eyes, you cannot miss that Ishvara. So offer, when you have that sensitivity, 18th chapter Krishna said, right? Brilliantly he say, Yat savar means pravurti bhutanam ena sarvamidam tadam so karmanat todarchasya siddhim vindadi manavaha. To that Ishvara, whose presence is everywhere, whose intelligence makes everything happens, whose order is everywhere in the universe, to that Ishvara, offer your actions, karma. So this karma yoga is brilliant. It doesn't differentiate between spiritual activity and secular activity. Every activity you do becomes a worship. What a brilliant idea. This is what is karma yoga. And at the same time, it is going to help your material progress, right? Praninam sakshat abhyudaya nishreyasa hetuhu. It gives the socio-economic welfare and nishreyasa. At the time, it elevates you spiritually. So this is what it is. And then on verse 33, Krishna said, right? But there's a challenge. Every individual has this, by default, you are programmed with certain things. Correct? I like this type of music. I like to play this game. Or I like to read these type of books. So that is my nature. And that nature is different from individual to individual. So, and then what is going to happen? When similar type of sense objects comes outside the world, naturally I'm getting attached to it or averse to it. So how do I manage myself? The likes and dislikes in me has a huge impact on my behavior, actions. And sometimes I'm forced to do tamasic actions because of my attachment. We had this discussion today morning also. All of you are convinced that you need to do yoga, getting up in the morning. But the moment you hear the alarm, why a doctor smokes? Isn't it the doctor? Isn't it because the lack of awareness? Why do I procrastinate? Situational pressure. And that's a reality. Can you say that I'm completely, when a situation comes in, I won't break? If any spiritual master tells that, oh, no, you have to just ignore everything, that's not a practical advice. That's why the next verse is brilliant. It is the psychology of the Bhagavad Gita. So let's listen to that. So let's listen to verse 34. Let me share. Anu will chant. This is one of the verse, if you can remember, it will be great verse. So, Anu, could you chant?
Indriyasyendrasyaarthe ragatveshau vyavasthitau tayornavashamagachet tauhyasya paripanthinau.
Could you chant one more time? This is such an important verse.
Indriyasyendrasyaarthe ragatveshau vyavasthitau tayornavashamagachet tauhyasya paripanthinau.
So you might have listened to a lot of so-called, means people say that a spiritual person should not have these type of thoughts. And some people try that. A spiritual person should not have likes and dislikes. Tell me honestly, is that practical? No way. No way. If somebody say that you should not have this like, it's impossible. Have you heard that story of that king? One king always wanted to be young. So he put an advertisement. Those who give me a medicine, the fellow who can give me a medicine to keep my youth always, I will reward him a lot. So one tricky guy came there. He said, I'll give you a medicine. But there is one criteria for this, will keep you young forever and you won't even die. But there is one small condition. The moment you take this medicine, you should not think about monkey. King said, that's easy. Anyway, I don't think about monkey. So he just made a note. Whenever I take this medicine, I should not think about monkey. Then what happened? The first day he was about to take the medicine, he looked at the instruction. What did you know what came to his mind first?
Monkey.
Monkey. So as human beings, you're given a mind, you're given a body, and my body is different from your body. My mind is different from your mind. And my body and mind combination, my tongue may have taste for chicken biryani. Your tongue may have taste for something else. And the tongue is always going to demand that. Do you think that it is wrong? If somebody say that it is sin, that is not correct. So that's what Krishna tells in this verse. Indriyasya indriyasyarthe ragadveshau vyavasthitau. So the sense organs, right? The sense organs, what is going to happen? There is an attachment and aversion for sense objects. Everything you see, you have a sense of likes and dislikes. And this comes from the nature of your own body and mind. And nobody in the world can avoid it. And I joked the other week on this topic. Even gods has their own likes and dislikes. When you see Mother Saraswati, you always see her wearing what color of sari?
White.
Yeah. And Krishna? Yellow.
Yellow.
And Saraswati has a veena, Krishna has a flute. And Krishna has his favorite ragas, others have their. Shiva has a different personality. Subramanya has a different personality. Even gods has that. And that is what make the world so beautiful. I have my personality. You have your personality. And depending upon the programming I have, my body and my mind, I will have certain likes and dislikes. And there is nothing wrong in that. So then what is the wrong part? Krishna tells in the second line. He tells, Tayona vashamagas tauhina paripanthinau. So now he tells the likes and dislike is not a problem. What is the problem? The problem is, if you think that you should not have certain likes and dislikes, that is impossible. A simple experiment provided by Daniel Goleman to demonstrate this point. The likes and dislikes are emotions. Do you have control over emotions? Anybody? No. If you say yes, I will tell you. Next 1 minute, can you become angry? Can anybody here become angry, not pretend angry? Can you bring anger into your mind right now? Impossible.
Correct.
So the emotions will come and go depending upon the way it is designed. What Krishna is saying is that if you try to say that I should not have any like or dislike, that's impossible. So where you have control is not on the likes and dislikes. But when a like and dislike comes in, you can decide, you can develop a skill to choose whether I should act on it or I should ignore it. Remember, this is the big psychology of the Gita. Gita is not saying that you should not have this feeling. But when you get that feeling, the self-awareness or the mindfulness in you will tell you that, okay, this. So Krishna is saying that typically an individual, what they do, they act based upon their likes and dislikes, their feeling. Krishna tells, when such feeling happens, you put using your dharma. Dharma means what? Doing what needs to be done. So when the alarm rings in the morning, what is your likes and dislikes is going to tell you?
Go back to sleep.
Exactly. And typically what we do?
Go back to sleep.
Go back to sleep. And Gina, you said last morning, what she does in the night, have that determination. And so even for Gina, that like thought will come, okay, it is better to sleep. But when you have that will, you can choose to act, or at least act in a reduced way, or act to ignore. So what Krishna is saying is that the skill you have to develop is not to remove all your likes and dislikes. When you get a likes and dislikes, put it under the test of dharma. Is that something that I need to be doing? What is dharma? Dharma is the natural order of the universe. So the body has its own dharma. I feel like eating unhealthy food. There's nothing wrong in that. So what shall I do? I should limit the quantity. That's it. A person who just surrenders to the likes and dislikes, what he does? Lose control and just go after the likes and dislikes. So the likes and dislikes takes you for a ride always. So Krishna tells, Tayo na vasham agasche. Don't come under their sway. He didn't say that, do not have them. He never said that. This is where Carl Jung went aesthetic. He said, this is the practical philosophy, practical spirituality. If you say that having this desire is sin, that won't work, my friends. It won't. So everybody will get all type of thoughts. It is up to me. What should I take and act? And what should I not take and act? And this is an art. And I should develop this skill. And you will see in the later chapters, you will get an exhaustive technique. How can I gain control over my likes and dislikes? So when a likes and dislike contradict with dharma, in the simple example, when I get that alarm in the morning, I know that what is dharma. My body needs workout. My body needs yoga. So what I will do, I should have the willpower, I should have the courage, I should have the determination to follow that. And in spite means if it fails 1 or 2 times, that's okay. Till you succeed, you have to try. So, but your focus should be on the ideal place, not to suppress your feelings, but make sure that you are entertaining what needs to be done. So this is an important teaching of the Gita. Later point of time, we will see Pratipaksha Bhavana. There is so many techniques provided. So twofold approach Krishna is talking here, right? So he tells the next verse, Tayo na varshamagasche. Why? Tau hina paripanthino. The word used is very important. Paripanthinaha. Pantha means road. Paripantha means a robber in your path. In ancient times, when you travel through a road, these highway robbers were there. So you intended to go to New York, let's say. So in between Newark or somewhere, there are robbers. What do? They prevent you from reaching your destination. They robs your asset. So these likes and dislikes, which are against dharma, don't go with them because they are going to derail you from your path. This is such an important verse, this is such an important verse. So learn this art, not say that likes and dislikes are wrong, but develop the skill to conquer these, meaning to when the right means likes and dislikes happens, you should have the control. It's like the steering wheel of your car. Let's say that if the car decides to go left and your path is straight, it is going to destroy you. In Katha Upanishad, the Ratha Kalpana brilliantly explains this. If the horse take control over the master, what is going to happen? Dushta Shwaiva Sarathi. There will be a crash. One horse will go this way, the other horse will go that way, and the chariot crashes. But if the charioteer has the control, yeah, inputs are always good, but what I should act and what I should not act, how much I should act, how much I should not act, all should be my decision, not my emotions' decision. Emotions are always a trigger. It is like a dashboard. So suppose you see a check engine. Yes, you may have to act. So what to act, what not to act, it is in my hand. Don't let anybody else to do that. Again, I'm repeating. I feel so, I cannot believe even now we call Freud as the father of psychology. 5,000 years back, we had such psychological book. So this is the psychology, basic psychology of the Gita, and exactly same as that of the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. You will see this in Vikrant's class or even later in our class. This verse is so important. So indriyasyendriyasyarthe ragadveshau vyavastitau. So therefore, don't come under their sway because they can derail you from your path. So with that, let's continue. So Anu, let's chant the next verse, which is 35.
Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha paradharmat swanushthitat swadharmi nithanam shreyaha paradharmo bhayavaha.
Amazing verse again. So then how should I try to be efficient and act in this world? A simple guidance is given. You follow your Swadharma. See, the whole idea of Gita is each one of us, our body and our mind, is blessed with certain skills. We need to understand, right? You need to explore and you need to understand what exactly is my Swadharma. What is that set of activities for which I am designed to. Later point of time, you will get a few techniques by which you can evaluate what is your Swadharma. And in this verse, Krishna tells, right, it is better to follow your Swadharma. Even though it is difficult, even though the end means it appears to be complicated, Shreyan Swadharmo Vigunaha, even though the outcome is difficult, it is better to follow your own dharma. So for that, we need to understand what is dharma, because dharma is not religion, right? We talked about this in detail. Dharma is the order into which you need to conform to. So you have a physical dharma, you have a psychological dharma, you have a social dharma. So what is your dharma at this place, at this time? I was talking to my sister and she was giving me an interesting tip from a book she was reading. She was saying, like, explore and exploit. Brilliant, right? That's exactly what it is. So what is that?
You got cut off, Rajesh. Explore
and exploit. This is in the modern language. So you need to understand what exactly you are designed to, right? For example, my teacher, one of my teacher gave a good example. What exactly is your role? What exactly you are designed for? Imagine if you take Sachin Tendulkar and ask him to do a data analysis, what would be his skills? Third-rate performance may come out. So everybody is designed for something. And you will feel that, because when you engage in that type of activity you are designed into, you feel that flow comes through you, right? We talked about this. And I refer one book. Anybody remembering that book? Flow, exactly, flow. So you know that certain work, when you engage, programmers used to tell me, certain time you forget everything. You are not stressed. You are not worried. Creativity comes through them. And that is flow. In sports, you hear that often. But the modern psychology, where it struggles, is everybody know that something called flow exists. But how do I invoke this flow at the right place at the right time? So tomorrow I have a big presentation. If I want to be in the flow, most of the people cannot invoke that flow at that time. And this book gives a lot of technique. And that's exactly what you see in the Bhagavad Gita. I don't know whether this guy read Gita or not, but you see all the techniques he has given, it is given in the Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga. So the idea is, first of all, you have to pick that profession which is closer to your heart. Not because it gives you more money, but that is what I'm designed for. My body, my mind is designed for that work. So that is what explore and exploit. You have to understand and explore and find out, where am I good? And then explode, that explode, I would say like that. Just self-forget and explode. You will see amazing result. So the Swadharma is that. So means my. What is my dharma? What exactly I need to do? What exactly I need to, means why I am designed for? You need to understand that. Each one of you can understand, right? So do you feel terrible when you go to work on Monday? That's a simple test. If that is the case, yeah, you're not doing your Swadharma. And then there are techniques, right? So sometimes we are not lucky to get into our Swatharma always. So there are techniques how you can start liking what you are doing. There are so many techniques that are coming in the upcoming chapter, but understand that understanding this Swatharma, what is my mental makeup, and why am I, means how can I, what is the right profession I need to get engaged? A person who is extremely spiritual, extremely introvert, extremely creative, if you put him in a clerical job, what is going to happen? He will not perform. So understand, Krishna in this verse very clearly tells, follow your Swatharma. So a brilliant example, you know, this soccer, it's not the American football, but the conventional soccer. You all are familiar with that, right? So let's say that I remember when I was kid, I always remember a story. Means there was a goalkeeper in one of the World Cup. His name was Higuita. Do you remember him? He is the goalkeeper of a team. But what was his specialty? Anybody remember that?
No.
He always go to the other line and try to play the game. So the goalkeeper will go to the front end and ask, means try to hit the goal. That was his specialty. What happened in a crucial match? The goalpost was empty because the goalkeeper was on the other side. You can Google it. It's a very famous story. And he was killed eventually for making that mistake by the fans. So if a goalkeeper decides that, okay, that fellow is not playing well, okay, so let me go and play his role, what is going to happen? Disaster. So try to do your job, of course, by coordinating with the other. Don't try to jump onto the other's role. Shreyat sudharmo vigunaha paradharmat bhayabaha. Sudharme nithanam shreya. It is better to die by performing your actions, your duty, your dharma, rather than getting into somebody else's dharma. So understand your swadharma and try to do that. Another example, commandos going to save somebody's life. Where they're about to shoot, suddenly a commando realizes a spiritual calling. Do not hurt your other human beings. What is going to happen? He will kill himself and he will kill everybody else. So even though your duty is terrible, of course you had a choice before joining into the forces. But once you are in that place, do your best, even if it costs your life. Shreyan Sudharmo. Even if you cannot succeed, try to do your Swadharma. It is better to stick with your Swadharma. This is again very important teaching of the Gita. So understanding and following Swadharma is very important. So try to read on this, and I would suggest to read the book Flow. If anybody had read that book Flow, I would request you to come and do a 10 minutes discussion. Mihail Csikszentmihalyi, right? That's the author. Nobel Prize winning book, means scientist. The science of optimal performance is what is being discussed in that book. And you would see it aligns well with Karma Yoga, what we are talking. Any questions? Otherwise, we can go to next. Now, Arjuna has a question. And whenever I see this Arjuna's question, I don't know, the brilliance of Vyasa. Wherever we get these questions, he planned that questions in the mouth of Arjuna. So we are going to listen to that question. But before that, any question on these two verses? Okay, good. So let's okay. So Anu, could you chant?
Arjuna uvacha athakena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichannapi varshneya baladiva niyojitaha.
It's a brilliant question. I always feel that the glory of the master is the brilliant disciple he has. And this is a classic example. So Krishna gave this Swadharma and all these wonderful lecture. Sticking with the likes means having the free will, gain control over your likes and dislikes, etc. It's wonderful teaching. But Arjuna had a genuine doubt. So he tells Arjuna Uvacha. Arjuna Uvacha means, you know that much Sanskrit now. No? What is Arjuna Uvacha? Arjuna said. Exactly. Arjuna said. So what he said? Atha kena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha. So atha kena, by what? Please tell me by what? Prayuktaha, impelled. By what? And then purusha, the human beings. By compelled by what? The human beings commit mistakes. Papam charati purushaha. By what? By prompted by what? Or by pulled by what? Or by pushed by what? The human being, please tell me, the human beings committed mistake. Papam charati purushaha. Anischannapi vashneya. Papam means don't think that it is sin or anything like that. We don't call it like that. Mistakes. So Anischannapi vashneya. Oh Vashneya. Vashneya means oh Krishna. Anischannapi. Ischa means what? Likes. Anischa means what?
Dislike.
Dislike. Even though I don't want to do that. When the alarm rings, I want to get up and do yoga. But even in spite of my wishes to do the yoga, Anischannapi vashneya. Belariva niyojitaha. Even though as if somebody is forcing me to do the other way. Haven't you all felt that in our life?
All the time.
Right, exactly. Right? So, athakena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha. Please tell me by how I'm committing mistakes. I'm not able to do what needs to be done. I would like to eat healthy. I would like to be active. I would like to speak truth. I would like to be nice with my family. I would like to do good to the others. But sometimes what happens? Belariva, something in me forcefully dragged me to the other side. Please explain me why that is happening. This is a brilliant question by Arjuna. Athakena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anischannapi vashneya belar eva niyojitaha. As if somebody is dragging me by force. I'm being pulled away or pushed away from my own goals. Somebody was telling me he was trying to get a certification every year. This thought is going on for the last 5 years. Procrastination. All this is happening.
Rajesh,
Yeah.
isn't this answered in the previous two verses?
It is, but needed little bit more elaboration. Why? So now it's going to drill down deep because you need to have more explanation and more details. Previous words gave a hint to that, and that is what triggered the question. The previous word said, yes, your likes and dislikes is going to play a big role. So you need to have the ability to get over that, monitor that, and do what needs to be done. So Arjuna said, like, sometimes I don't even be mindful of that. I realizes that only after some time. I don't know. I experienced it. Like when I used to, earlier I wanted to get up at 5 o'clock and do some studies. 5 o'clock, when the alarm comes in, the mind gives some strange explanation, which appears to be very convincing. Have you had that experience?
I would not say strange explanation. I would say a very convincing explanation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very
Ask Gina how to do that. She does that.
creative thinking. No, this is a good old discussion. But why I'm highlighting is, this is not a Gina or Rajesh or Ravneet or your problem, right? It has been there ever since Arjuna's time. Because how can you spell out it more clearly than this? Something in me forcefully dragging me from my path. Every day you have this New Year, every year everybody has this New Year resolution. I think, yeah, this is the right time. Now, by this time, most of these resolutions would have been died. I'm not talking about you guys, because you guys are practicing yoga and you're on top of it. But I'm talking about majority of the people. Do a Google. How much percentage of the people keep their New Year resolution? Anishchannapi Varshneya Belar Ipa. Oh my God. Can you talk about more directly about our life than this? This is the beauty of the Karma Yoga. So please take care of these 3 verses. So the first one is the whole psychology of the Bhagavad Gita. The entire psychology of the Bhagavad Gita revolves around this raga and dvesha. And raga and dvesha, depending upon my physical, mental composition, I may have likes and dislikes. We had this in the previous class. While somebody loves chicken biryani, other people hates it. Why?
Raga Dvesa.
Yeah. And I told you, right, there was a study. There is a huge, big neurological study. What means why certain people like certain food? It is very interesting. I can post that in the group. And eventually what they found out was there are certain genes that controls your likes and dislikes. So you're born with certain likes and dislikes. I always feel, Arnabji, I think you told me also, when you meet with certain people, some feeling comes to your mind, right? So some connection comes to your mind. Why?
Yes.
Why? Have you thought about that? Can you explain that with a logic?
No. No.
It is my physical mental composition. And there's nothing wrong in that. And in fact, that makes the life so beautiful. All the great relationship in the world, is made like that. Right? We read the Ramayana. So when Rama was about to cross the river Sarayu, you know who helped him to cross that river? There is a tribal person. His name is Guha. Have you heard of him?
Mm-hmm.
And Guha was very much reluctant to go to Rama because his dress was not good. He was dirty. And you know what Rama did? He just went and hugged him, right? And the way he addressed him was brother. Brother. And so this guy was wondered. Guha wondered. Our biological mothers are different. Rama gives a brilliant answer. Right? When I saw you, the emotion that comes to my mind is like a brother. And you know what? There is an unseen thread connected between you and me by the Divine Mother. And that's the greatest bonding. It cannot be expressed with words. You are like my Bharata. So like that, that's a good example. Sometimes certain food I hate. And I don't know why. When other people say that it is perfect, I hate it. So that likes and dislikes are there in everyone. And if you say that tomorrow onwards you are a spiritual person, you should not have likes and dislikes. That's a totally wrong advice. It's impossible. And such people try to put a lot of control, and eventually they will explode. It will create psychic problems. So understand that what type of the way my body is designed, the way my mind is designed, it is going to create certain likes and dislikes. But do you need to surrender to all likes and dislikes? No. When the likes and dislikes are aligned with dharma, perform it. And when there is a conflict between my likes and dislikes with the dharma, I should try to follow dharma. That's the advice. So initially, you may have to do that very consciously. Initially, what is going to happen? My likes and dislikes and dharma, 180-degree opposite. Right? I want to sleep, but my dharma is to get up and act. I want to eat this food, but... So initially, if you practice this will, how to develop your will, how to try to follow dharma, be mindful. Eventually, what is going to happen is, while you practice this karma yoga, upasana yoga, over a period of time, the promise given by Krishna is your likes and initially your likes and dislikes and dharma is like that, 100-degree opposite. Gradually, you can see that width will come down. After a period of time, your likes and dislikes are dharma. That is the goal. So you'll try to practice karma yoga. You're going to see that change in you every day. Karma yoga is something which nobody can ignore. It is going to make your life so beautiful, so precious, so happy, so contented. So this is the first verse. And the second verse we said, try to follow your swadharma. For example, if you're an artist, right, musician, and suppose you go and try to find some other job because that gives more money. I'm not saying that you should not have money. You try to make money through the profession you love. That's all we are saying. Because otherwise it's an impractical advice. So if you properly plan and execute, you can find ways of making money and other support through your swadharma. So try to do that. Because swadharma, the reason is you can perform outstanding in your swadharma. Your performance won't be third rate. So that's what it is. So then we said, Arjuna had a question. Question is what? All that is fantastic, but there is an inner enemy in me. Without me thinking, that inner enemy drags me from the path of dharma. So we will see that. Now it's only 7 more verses in this chapter. We will cover this chapter. And then 4th and 5th is also talking about karma yoga. So karma yoga is not going to end here. Up to chapter 5, karma yoga is there. And then it is going to come back in the 18th chapter. So karma yoga is such an important topic of the Bhagavad Gita. And if I really tell you, like one of the key difference between Patanjali Yoga Sutra and Bhagavad Gita is Bhagavad Gita is more focused on karma yoga, whereas Yoga Sutra is more focused on upasana yoga. Whereas upasana yoga is definitely there in Karma Bhagavad Gita, but it is it is there. 6th chapter to 8th chapter, you will have bits and pieces, but Yoga Sutra goes in a very detailed manner. Whereas Yoga Sutra touches about karma yoga, but predominantly it talks about this upasana yoga. Any other questions?
So Rajaji, question I was thinking of is, when there is a conflict between your raga dvesha, your likes and dislikes, and between your dharma, is it so much a matter of deciding to follow your dharma, or is it more a matter of cultivating the strength to be able to follow your dharma?
Initially, it is the matter of cultivating the strength and strategies to follow the dharma.
Exactly. That's
So,
where we are.
yeah, that is where the teachings are going to come more. So one example given is, let's say that it is said that it is a highway robber, right? So let's say that the highway robber is standing there with a gun. With your physique and with your support, it's impossible for you to conquer them, because sometimes these ragadveshas are so powerful. That is why the next verses are going to come. So you need to have developed certain strategies. How do you approach these ragadveshas? How can you make these ragadveshas as a blessing rather than a curse? Because the ragadveshas, the likes and dislikes, is what your life
Is about.
Beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Imagine a life without any likes and dislikes. I would say better go and lie down in a graveyard.
Exactly.
So I don't know whether how many of you noted in this chapter, Karma Yoga, Krishna never said to run away from life, right? He wanted to enjoy the life, but in a dharmic way. There is a huge difference. Spiritual life is not running away from life. In fact, if you had listened to Karma Yoga so far, spiritual life is more enjoying the life properly. Please. We all are so blessed to have this human birth. Let's enjoy it. So don't put do's and don'ts. Being spiritual means, so I'll tell you one example. I watch a lot of movies. So one person was so much surprised to see that, oh, you watch these type of movies?
Yeah, I'm also surprised.
So that type of notions we should avoid. So you heard this in the Karma Yoga earlier. By speaking certain language, you see, right? Some people, when they are spiritual, their language becomes so soft. But when they get out of the temple, what do they do?
Abusing.
Yeah. So speaking in a tone, or wearing certain type of clothes, or having like Swami Chinmayananda used to joke, right? 1 gopi or 3 gopi, horizontal or vertical, that doesn't matter. What you wear, what you speak, or what you eat, or what you, how do you, its spirituality is totally different. This conventional religions following versus the spirituality is totally different. And hopefully this chapter would have given a big insight. And if you remember verse 6 or 7, what is the word Krishna used? Anybody remember that word? Karmendriyani samyamya yayaste manasa smaran indriyarthan vimodharma. One verse is there. He calls a name. Anybody remember that verse? Karmendriyani samyamya yayaste manasa smaran indriyarthan vimodharma. Mithyachara. Exactly. What does that mean? Hypocrite.
Pretenders.
Hypocrite. Considering the culture of Krishna, if that is translated into modern language, it will be a really bad word. So please let's not run away from life. Let's enjoy the life. Let's live and let others live. And let us be a blessing to the world rather than a curse. And such people, literally, see, Krishna tells, right? Such people will become a model of the world rather than an example of. There are two types, right? One is called model of the world. The other one is a warning to the world. So we don't want that. We want a model. And as we discussed today morning, if we cannot be happy and contented, we cannot give it back to the other people. I say that I live for others. All these are mindless statement. How can I support another person without being myself happy? You might have heard this announcement from the airline, right? So the oxygen mask, what is the first thing they say?
Wear it yourself.
Save yourself.
Correct. So try to make yourself happy and then spread that happiness to other people. Otherwise, you may think that you will be making the other people happy, but they'll be cursing you there.
Yeah.
Okay. So much of good discussions. So Anu, let's chant these 3 verses once again, and we'll conclude with the Purnamada Purnamidam.
इन्द्रियस्येन्द्रियस्यार्थे रागद्वेषौ व्यवस्थितौ तयोर्न वशमागच्छेत् तौ ह्यस्य परिपन्थिनौ श्रेयान् स्वधर्मो विगुणः परधर्मात् स्वनुष्ठितात् स्वधर्मे निधनं श्रेयः परधर्मो भयावहः। अर्जुन उवाच अथ केन प्रयुक्तोऽयं पापं चरति पूरुषः अनिच्छन्नपि वार्ष्णेय बलादिव नियोजितः।
Excellent. Thank you very much, Anu. Just you can post these recordings in the group. Please try to remember that one verse. Verse 34. Indriyasyendriyasyarthi ragadvisho vyavastito. That's very, very important verse. So let's do the Purnamada. And Gina, I think you want, means those who are putting together the content, they can stay after the call, right? After the session.
That's right.
Okay.
Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Thank you. So we'll see next Sunday on next